Season 4 of Big Muscle has just landed, and for our season opener, we've decided to do something we've never done before. That being, revisit a car. Last year we drove this car, but unfortunately, we couldn't really drive it because Mother Nature decided to water the earth. But rest assured, because this time, we decided to come back and give you the super-sized portion. Stay tuned for an absolutely outrageous episode of Big Muscle.
My name is Mike Mustin. Each week I travel the country with the goal of showcasing the best and baddest muscle cars and hot rods around. Every car has a past and every owner a story. Welcome to the world of Big Muscle.
The car came back from Tennessee. I picked it up a few weeks ago. We needed to do some repairs on the car, and actually all year it ran pretty good, but it had some issues and we had to do a few upgrades to the car, and it just needed preventive maintenance. You know, me and you had been talking about doing the follow-up video, and I said, well, you know what? I need an opinion of another driver other than Karl. You're an accomplished driver too yourself, so when he comes in, we do some testing and tuning and say, hey, Mike felt this, let's compare some notes and say, maybe he can help you a little bit with the car and tell you what you need to do, or maybe just advice. You know, there hasn't been very many people driving this car on the road course other than Karl, Mary Posey, and yourself.
All right, so last year, you guys might remember, we actually filmed this car. This was the '68 Camaro, simply known as Blu Balz. And when we first started to film the car, we kind of got discouraged because it was raining that day and we literally couldn't do what we wanted to do with the car. Thankfully, we got a call from Chris at JCG and Karl, the owner, and they said, Mike, you know what, we want you to review the car the right way. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rent out Button Willow Raceway in Southern California for the day, for you and Big Muscle. And we're gonna let you drive the car and see what it actually does. That's pretty cool when you think about what this is. '68 Camaro LS7, dry sump, 540 rear wheel horsepower, 520 pound-feet of torque, full floater braking system, 305s in the front, 345s in the rear, a 6-speed T56 with 410 gears, and just speed. Oh man. It's got so much freaking grunt. The turning on the car is ridiculous. I mean, it's these 305s in the front just catch. You know, and with all that torque in the back, you can basically just, you can put the car wherever you want it with the throttle. There's so many cars that are just kind of twitchy, but Chris has managed to get the weight balance on this car 50-50. That's like 120.
This car, you know, I shipped it out to Karl, and first event, it was the Detroit Speed Southern Slam in South Carolina. That was the first event when it went home. Did you like that one? Laugh, my mouthful, but you got it. You know what the hell I meant. After that, it was Heights Hot Rods, had another event at Putman Park. We did a face-off at Road America. That was a frickin' blast. And then we did Motor State at Gingerman. And I got another little private test session going on there the night before, and Karl did the LS Fest, and that was a real good event for him too. The one thing that I've discovered is every time I send Karl out by himself, it seems like he has little issues here and there, but when I'm there at the race event, nothing happens. One of the things I'm trying to do is trying to educate Karl, you know, but we did do a few events. I mean, the car ran the crap out of this season. I mean, it's got some war scars on there, it's got cone rash, it's got nicks, you know, you name it, it's got it on there. The one big problem that I've had with setting up the car is I've set it up for autocrossing. Road coursing has been our problem because I need Karl. I need Karl to be here with me to be able to do that testing and tuning, and sometimes I have to get a substitute driver, and today you are the substitute driver.
This car transcends what you would think of as just a modified Camaro. It's simply not. This is a coach-built automobile. And by coach-built, I mean 100% from the ground-up build. It's not a restoration. It is now its own specific automobile that resembles a 68 Camaro, but with so much stuff that's been done to it. You know, to give you an example, you look at the gauge cluster, right? These are all spec gauges. These are all NASCAR gauges. The same things you'd find in like Dale Jr.'s car. The dash pad, everything, all the carbon fiber, all hand laid by Chris. It's not like he called somebody and was just like, yeah, you know what, I think I'm gonna order that, I think I'm gonna order this. He's like, no, I'm gonna make it. Looking at the body lines, right? What do you notice? Or what might not you notice? Put it next to a regular Camaro, the rear quarters have been stretched 2.5 inches. Outward, like that, it's amazing. The front's 2 inches. All these little touches culminate in a car that has so much detail, it's almost impossible to take it all in. Then the fact that you could take it out on a road course like this and just flog it mercilessly, like what more do you really want? If there was one thing on this car that I'd be like, I would change, I think the steering wheel is a little small. Otherwise, I don't know if and I'm too fat for the seat. Otherwise, I think we're good.
For the last 2 years, I have learned a lot. I've worked with some of the best people in the industry. You know, Brian Hobach, Mike Myers, Mary Posey, Danny Pop. Danny Pop has been a great source of information too for us. Plus the manufacturers, you know, Detroit Speed. This car has all Detroit Speed underneath of it, and Detroit Speed has been a big help also and getting me parts that I need to do what I needed to do. One of the enhancements we just did was the DSC JRI shocks on this car. So we're dialing in the wheelwood brakes. I mean, the wheelwood brakes, I needed something. I needed the last phase to make these brakes work a lot better. And I was able to figure it out at Motor State. Bruce Raymond from Raymond Performance. We're sitting out having lunch and he says, man, I wish I can adjust my brakes. And I said, why? Well, I don't want the car to tip over in the front. I want the car to squat down. And I just turned around and looked at Karl and like a little light bulb went off in my head. I said, I'll be right back. So I found an open road and I went and dialed out and got some more rear brake. And as soon as we came back, Karl just jumped in the car and drove his best times in the afternoon by making that adjustment.
Building a pro touring car is not an easy thing to do. It's not as simple as bolting stuff on. So for instance, yes, it's a custom car. They've got, you know, DSC chassis and everything else under this thing, and they went with JRI shocks, which let me tell you, probably the key to this setup is that you can modulate the shocks really, really easily. You can change spring rates, you can adjust them, and that's what really makes the car dialed in. You know, I told Chris before, I was like, you know, the back of the car, I think we're getting a little bit of bounce in there. He's like, no problem, I'll just dial it out. And like, you know, and I mean, that's what he did. This is a car that, you know, the owner Karl, that he wanted because his dream was the best 68 Camaro in the world. And I got news, he might have it. For you guys out there who are gonna go, there's no way this thing will chase down a Ferrari. Bull. This thing, you know what? I challenge somebody with a Ferrari to call up my show and say, you know what? I'll run my Ferrari against Blu Balz. I guarantee you, you will either walk home with your tail between your legs or just walk away in sheer awe as this thing passes you. This is a problem with this show. We get so spoiled and I go home and I'm like, man, I need to make more money. I need to make a lot more money.
Taking a custom car to a racetrack is a bold move for a builder. You see, you can't fake it here. You can't hide flaws, and you can't make any excuses when goes wrong. In short, if you hand over the keys, what you're saying is yes. This vehicle not only performs, but it's safe enough for you to travel at triple-digit speeds and drive on in full-on assault mode. Maybe the brakes will melt, maybe the chassis isn't balanced, maybe it will overheat after 2 laps. And I guarantee you, if any of that had happened, I was going to tell you.
Alright, where should we start? Did we start already?
Sure. Piece together, I don't know.
What?
Where are we going again?
You didn't comb your hair this morning, did you?
I never comb my hair on a shoot day. Who am I around? A bunch of dudes. Yeah, I'm gonna get laid at this machine shop. Oh,
You never know.
yeah, you know. You pretty much know by now.
There's a guy that looked at you.
I do need a lot of work done on my Miata.